Hello and welcome to one episode, one sentence reviews of every fall 2024 anime. This is a series where I watch the first episode of every anime this season, almost, and give them a one sentence review. I give them two ratings alongside this, one of which is my initial impression rating, which is what I think immediately after watching the first episode, and the second is my continued impressions watching, which is based off how I watch it. So for example, the continued impressions is on a scale of 0 to 3. 0 is I'm putting this off for as long as possible before I continue watching it. 1 is I'll binge it at the end because I don't feel like watching it every week. 2 is I'll catch up at some point. 3 is I watch it the second it comes out. There is one exception to this where I gave it a 4, which is that I'm not watching it purely because I want to binge it. And without further ado, I just wanted to add a couple more thoughts on what exactly the watch rating is. The watch pace. Watch a show every single time it comes out. There's a couple things that it needs to be. For one, it needs to be enjoyable, obviously. But if it has a really engaging plot where I want to see what happens next, that obviously helps. And then also if it's heavy or kind of just hard to watch in any way, like too much emotions going on or something's too deep, then also I'm probably not gonna, put it on as soon as it comes out. So those are the things that will affect, why am I lizard blinking right now? Those are the things that will affect the watch rating rather than necessarily just the quality of the show, hence why some of the things that I gave 7 out of 10 only got a watch rating of 1. Just so you know. Acro Trip, 5.5 out of 10. A magical girl fangirl and a masochistic evil journal want to make the magical girl shine, and chaos ensues. It might be pretty funny, but I'm undecided. There's Ao no Exorcist Yuki no Hatehen, Blue Exorcist Beyond the Snow Saga, aka Season 4. 6.5 out of 10. It got off to a slow start, but it's still very interesting for an older shonen, and I've got faith that this will be an interesting season, especially since Light is such a fun introduction to the cast. Ao no Hako, 7 out of 10. Whoa, it's gorgeous. The characters are super cute, and I want them to succeed in both love and sports, but also, it's kind of a slow start. Chikyuu no Undou ni Tsuite. Orb on the movement of the earth. 7.5 out of 10. This is probably the first and last time I'll ever say this, but I think this would have been better as a live-action movie because despite being incredibly beautifully animated, the nuances of real human expression would add a lot to the serious philosophical intensity of the show. And again, I know that's sacrilege, but honestly, I would have really loved it as a live-action. That was an additional sentence, not in my notes. Dandadan, 7.5 out of 10. I have no idea what I just watched, but the animation is spectacular, I definitely won't be bored with this, and I think the characters will make this really amazing. How I attended an All Guys Mixer. 7 out of 10. BL bait scenario aside, the 6 leads are really promising, and each feels like they have their own genuine personalities that will mesh well with their pairing, so I can see this being a really cute rom-com. Haigakura, 6 out of 10. Despite not being intensely gripping, Tenkyo and Ichio are actually very likable main characters, the high-energy cast keeps the show flowing despite this demi-static animation, and I'm quite excited to learn about how the world of Kashi, God Contracts, works and what the secrets of the various characters are. Loner Life in Another World, 4.5 out of 10. Fun start with MC desperately trying to avoid being isekai'd, but it quickly fell into all the other traps of basic OP isekai. Nina the Starry Bride, 7 out of 10. Nina is a stellar lead and carries the show, which feels like a return to form of classic shoujo, which, while not revolutionary, will be a very enjoyable watch. Magilumiere Magical Girls Inc. 6.5 out of 10. It takes full advantage of the corporate magical girl to make a uniquely modern evolution of the typical trope, with magical devices, an authentic feeling city setting, decent animation, and cute female leads with strong personalities. Kaminoto Season 2 Core 2. 6.5 out of 10. The animation is still unfortunately lackluster, but the workshop battle setup has me super excited to see what happens next. 365 Days to the Wedding. 5 out of 10. 2 introverts who are shockingly relatable with hidden cute sides act out the fake dating trope, which draws me in, but not much else does. You Are Miss Servant. 5 out of 10. Perhaps it's an issue with the pacing, but it looks good on the surface, especially in the literal visual sense, but somehow just feels kind of empty when you watch it. Also, stop it with the feet, oh my god. The stories of girls who couldn't be magicians. 5.5 out of 10. Little Witch Academy, but aesthetic overload, but little boring. Demon Lord 2099. 5.5 out of 10. It seems like the success of this show will rely on how well the world building of the sci-fi magical world is developed, especially as the characters themselves, except for the red girl, are rather stale. Mecha-Ude. 7 out of 10. Hits you right off the bat with banger action and fun characters. Let This Grieving Soul Retire. 3.5 out of 10. Seems like your typical played-out fantasy with a may or may not be a pushover MC who may or may not be OP, but at least all the other people think that he is. We'll have to see. Negative Positive Angler. 6.5 out of 10. AKA, if dad hobbies was an anime, self-destructive tendencies was an MC, and half of the characters, especially the gangsters, were comic relief, but also, it looks good, especially if you want to learn how to fish. I had to zoom way out on this one just to get it to fit on screen, which may be an indicator in and of itself. The healer who was banished from his party is, in fact, the strongest. 6 out of 10. The title gives it away, but somehow this actually feels a lot more fleshed out, and I'm enjoying that we're watching it more so from the girl's POV than the main characters. Yakuza Fiance. 4 out of 10. Ugh. While I love the female lead, the dark Yakuza stuff plays up somewhat cringily, and the violent type isn't my type, and I hate overt power imbalances, threats, and manipulation in romances, so even while it seems like the female lead will take more agency going forward, I'm really not going to like this if it goes the romance route at all, as opposed to more of the revenge story. ReZero Season 3. 10 out of 10, haven't watched it yet, but I just know. I'm waiting to binge it. I'll become a villainess who goes down in history. 5 out of 10. Another villainess isekai which would benefit from the MC not being an idiot who thinks that being smart and honest makes her a good villain. The most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan. 3 out of 10. Bland AF, couldn't remember anything that had happened like 2 seconds after the episode ended. And then as a editor's note, which it just took me way too long to get around to recording this, but I've continued watching it, and the second episode actually bumps it up to a 5.5, especially because of the MC's actual legitimate shows of ruthlessness, as opposed to some characters that are really just lip service in that regard.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
Goodbye, Dragon Life. And Lamia-chan is cute, but I'm not convinced it'll be interesting. As a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise in the world. Season 2. 4 out of 10. Exactly what you'd expect after Season 1, plus sudden wedding between characters who look 12. TsumaSho, aka what I've been calling it, may or may not be its actual name, elementary school wife. 4.5 out of 10. This feels like it could have been a really poignant and sob-worthy short film, but instead the series pacing seems like it will be both fast and run out, while the semi-comedic tone just succeeds at making the widower seem like a total creep despite the wholesome story, and he seriously needs to stop thinking of the child, reincarnated or not, as his wife. The do-over damsel conquers the dragon emperor. 6.5 out of 10. While on paper it's a typical female lead regression story, the beginning immediately positions our female lead as someone with genuine strength of will and character, think Commander vibes. And while it's disappointing that her attitude after the 10-year regression feels more basic, her inner dialogue is still strong, the male lead's gap moe is cute, though we'll ignore the age gap, and I have hope that the well-written characters will carry this story further than your typical regression plot. A terrified teacher at Gold School. 7 out of 10. This is how to do a scaredy cat MC right in a comedy show, and while it's not outright lol funny, it is still fun to watch the chaotic and distinct cast of yokai interact with their wimpy, uniform-loving teacher. And those are my one episode, one sentence reviews of all fall 2024 anime that I watched, which is admittedly 28 and most of them. I do have, especially as I've continued watching most of these, more developed thoughts on them. And if it's something you're interested in, I would be happy to make a full-length, more video essay style review of each anime after the season's over. If you like the video, give it a like, send it to any friends who are interested in anime or who might need recommendations. In addition, Nope, I don't have anything. That's it. Have a nice day. Bye.